Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. In this video we are going to learn about Rails, and we are going to build a new application which is called as the general application. And in this application we are going to learn about how to create forms, how to create dynamic forms as well, how to create associations between different tables, and how to save data in the table, and how to link everything together. I'm going to build this application, which is general application. Over here that you can see it has work. So for work it is a task, and what did you do in this particular work is that you had some coding and you brought some grocery from the market. With this thing you can just delete it and you can create a new task, you can remove it, you can create without anything else. So a lot of things we are going to learn in this particular application. So let's begin learning it. Okay, so to learn this application, what we have to do is that I have already created a project, so I will create a new project as well. So clear, I'll go back to Rails project, create Rails new final. So it is going to install a lot of things. So now that you can see that everything is installed, you just go to this project, just go to final, and you have to actually run this application. Let's see what is happening over there. So this is the application which we have already built, and this is the new one, so it is already running. So now one basic thing that you have to do is that, let's close this one. Okay, so for this one you have to create new, so you have to change the database. So by default it ships with SQLite 3. I personally don't use SQLite 3, so I will be moving to MySQL. So to do that, what we have to do is we have to open the Sublime Text file. You can see the folder structure over here. Just you have to go to, first of all, gem file, change this SQLite 3 MySQL 2, because MySQL 2 is an adapter. MySQL 2, this is an adapter, you actually need MySQL in your system. So right now you have to just run bundle install. Now you can see MySQL has been installed. To actually map this MySQL with your database is you have to use database YAML file. You can see adapter is MySQL 3, use MySQL 2, database is going to be journal final development, and you can just change it for testing and for production as well. Just use this. Production. And now you have to use username, which is root, password is also root. I have changed my table names from journal final to journal development and journal testing. So to be clear, and just you can use this command Rails to create. You can see the database has been created. You can refer these files, and now you can check it in MySQL as well, but for now there is no requirement. You can just go over here, you can just start your server again to see if everything is running or not. The server is already running, so run it again. Yes, it is running. So now first of all what we have to do is we have to create one table which is task, and it is going to have only one field which is going to have description, and rest of the fields are going to create some metadata. So first of all it is going to have an ID and created and updated that, and also we have a description. So what we have to do is just we have to create a new Rails one. It is going to be task, description, It is going to be string. That is all, because we only wanted one custom column, and that is all. So it created one migration file. Let's go to this file. This is basically a file which creates actually has the information of which kind of table it is going to create, and we have the testing files and everything. And model is the ORM file, which is going to have a class, task class, and from which we are going to access the database and its values. So let's go to this file. To go to this file, you have to just go this. So you can see it is going to create one description, and t.timestamps will created and updated that. So ID will be generated automatically. You don't have to define it over here. So if you are going to run Rails DB migrate, is going to create all the migrations, run all the migrations, and do the changes accordingly. With create table, it created create table because this is the command which ran with this command. This migration had create table command, and it is going to execute these lines as well. So right now that we can see, so we can just go to Rails C. We can see task. So you can see ID nil, description nil, created and updated. One more thing to note, that if you made some changes in your migrations, or you created a new migration, just like what we did, we created a new model and your server is already running, or you created a new, basically you ran the server again, it is going to give a migration error. So it is better to stop your server, run your migrations again, and then start the server again. Cool. So now we can run this server. It's going to run, won't show any problem. Okay, so now that we have our database in place, we have our files and ORM in place, we need a controller now. So you can just go here, you can create task.new. Sorry, made some blunder. Okay, so we have to create task.new, and we have to add description as test. So see, it added a description which has a value test, but it didn't save it in the database. So to save it in the database, we have to assign it to some variable, this variable, and we have to use save. One kind of a syntax that you can use, or you can use task.create description test1, basically 2. Just close it. It also ran. Okay, so now this is working, and now we have to create a controller. So you can just go to app directory, controllers. You have to just create a new file which is going to be called as task controller.rb. This task controller will be called as class task controller. This will be inherited by application controller. So this application controller, and we'll have an index method over here. So index method is going to list all the tasks that we have. So this is the instance method which is going to be available on the front end as well. So task.limit 10. So we are not going to burden our system with breaking all the tasks. We are going to just limit all the tasks. You can just order it by ID or create it. Okay, so now our function is in place. How are we going to call it? Do we know anything? If we are going to use this task, no, it says no route matches get tasks. So basically what you have to do, you have to create a route in a Rails application to actually tell that you have on particular /task, you have to hit this particular method. So what you have to do is you have to go to route.rb So we are going to create a new CRUD application. So creating a new CRUD application, it is going to have all the methods like create, update, delete, edit and destroy, everything. And for that you have to add resources, and you have to define the resources that is going to be tasks. Okay, so now that we have done this, one more thing that I wanted to tell, that the controller's naming convention will be always be plural and the model is going to be always singular. So in this case we have task, in this case we have tasks. And now that we have routes in place, what we have to do is to test the routes, that the routes are generated correctly. You have to just run routes, Rails routes, and it is going to list all the routes which are available. So in this case for tasks we have tasks. So now it is basically telling us that these tasks are already generated. These URLs are already generated, and these are basically referring to controller, which is tasks in this case, and action is index. So by default it tells that for tasks we have index, and it is going to generate all the HTTP REST API methods: get, post, put, delete, everything. Okay, so now resources is very handy. You must learn about resources if you want to go or have different understanding. If you want to have more information, just mention it in the comments. I will just let you know. Okay, now that we have tasks, so let's check it out whether it is working or not. So we have this. It works, but it's actually telling us that index is missing a template for request formats. Okay, so it is basically accessing HTML, expecting a HTML file, but it is not available. So it is missing a template. So by template it means that when we go to this our views, we have layouts, we have application.rb. it is basically it has everything. You can just first of all change this value where and it is basically yielding everything, but it is not able to find the task in the index page. So for you have to do is you have to create a new folder over here. You have to add tasks. This naming convention should be similar to controller. It will be plural, and for every method which we are going to define it as an API, if you want it as a HTML page, you have to create it over here. So for tasks, we have to create a new file which is called index.html.erb. We are going to create a new index page which is going to be an HTML page, and we have to define it as embedded Ruby, because with embedded Ruby we mean that we are going to add some Ruby syntax in it as well. So you can just write it over there. So in this case now we have our method and the page is available. Let's see if it is working or not. It works. Now what you have to do, you have to actually show the data. So we already have our controller, and we already have this thing in a saved in an instance variable, so we can access this tasks in index.html.erb. So to access this, what we have to do is just we have to loop through all the items that we have. So to loop, we have to just use tasks.each2. We have to put it in a variable which we are going to use it in a loop. What we have to do is just we have to, for now we will be just printing two things. Let's say ul and li. So for task we are going to have task.id. This will not work because we have to use this embedded Ruby syntax to actually embed it inside page. Task.description. it works fine, I guess. And let's see. Okay, so in this case we have created that. So see, it is basically listing everything, but this is not a correct format in which we should do. What we can do is that we can just create a table in this case. So now that you can see, we have created a table, and in this format, when we are going to refresh it, we are going to have this values inside table. So this is pretty much cool, and this is working fine. And in the next video, we will be coming up with new things. We will be creating a form. We'll be saving the data from form, and we will be having update method to actually update the values, edit the values, and everything. So stay tuned. You have to learn a lot of things now. So guys, take care.